through the entire year of 2025, we were able to get $13 billion of incentivized investments here in the state of Illinois. So we are doing incredible work with our partners at the Department of Commerce. We've also seen over 700 businesses choose Illinois in the last year.
Well, hello everybody. John Klemm here, host of Illinois Corn TV. Today joining me is Christy George, President and CEO of the Illinois EDC. Glad to have you, Christy. Why don't you start us out? Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do in your role.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here with you this morning. As you shared, my name is Christy George. I'm the president and CEO of the Illinois Economic Development Corporation, formerly known as Intersect Illinois. We are the state's business attraction arm and part of Team Illinois. We work to recruit businesses from all over the nation and all over the world and tell them the Why Illinois story, which is why Illinois is the best place to live, work, and do business. And we have been on an incredible run. The Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity just announced just last month that through the entire year of 2025, we were able to get $13 billion of incentivized investments here in the state of Illinois. So we are doing incredible work with our partners at the Department of Commerce. We've also seen over 700 businesses choose Illinois in the last year. And we are so incredibly excited of the momentum that we are having. So thank you so much for having me and really excited for the conversation.
Me too. Glad to have you, and I look forward to it. So as a business owner in Illinois here myself, glad to hear about all the good things that are happening, and I look to be able to be part of the continuation of that. So, and speaking of business in Illinois, Illinois has actually one of the largest state economies in the nation, for some of those that may not know.
That's right.
How is it that you see agriculture and agribusinesses continuing to be part of that large strength?
Agriculture is an essential and legacy industry to Illinois. It's a huge part of our economy. We have the third largest agribusiness GRP in the nation at roughly $39 billion. We trail only California and Texas. So it's a huge part of our economy and a huge part of the nation's economy. Within Illinois specifically, we employ around 200,000 workers across the state, just shy of 200,000 workers across the state in this industry. And crop production is particularly important. It takes up roughly 10% of that at about 27,000 employees here in Illinois. So it makes it kind of the largest sub-industry by employment within that next generation agriculture cluster. Over the years, we have seen continuous growth. Over the last 5 years in particular, we've seen around a 12% growth increase in ag sector employment. So we are seeing strong growth trends, but obviously there have been headwinds, particularly in the last year, and particularly considering tariffs, which I'm sure we'll get into at some point during this conversation. But just like thinking through it, it's an incredibly important sector to Illinois. In 2024, the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity announced their Open for Business plan, and it's their 5-year growth plan, and identified 6 key industries for Illinois to focus on growing and supporting over the course of those 5 years. One of those sectors and one of those industries is next generation agriculture, ag tech, and food processing. What we know is that in terms of rankings and how we play nationally, we are number 1 in the United States for private food manufacturing, R&D, number 2 for protein patents, number 1 for agricultural feedstock and industrial biosciences employment, number 3 in the U.S. for export of agricultural commodities, and that's just upwards of $13 billion that we export. So we are a huge, huge international player. Corn is certainly important to that. Soy is critical to that. And we know that supports so much of our Illinois families, and we believe strongly in supporting that industry. And so it's an incredible industry that we want to see grow over time, and we're putting in the muscle to make sure that that
Wow.
happens.
Great set of information there. As I was listening to you, basically what I felt like I'm hearing is, the resume that Illinois has to be able to put on the table to, promote our business and promote the economic powerhouse that we really are. And so we can use that. And thanks to groups such as yours that we can advertise ourselves across many, many markets and many, many areas. So
No,
absolutely.
that's exactly it. I mean, we just earlier last year we did a trade mission to Mexico, and we went to Mexico City. We brought a very large delegation. We had the Illinois corn growers with us. And it was incredibly important that we spoke internationally, not just about at the time the impending tariffs that were happening between the US and Mexico, and the USMCA agreement, but it was also just really important for us to engage with businesses there and say, look, Illinois is open for business 100%. And knowing that Mexico is one of our largest agricultural partners from an export market, it's just incredible that we spend that time with them, and really important that we spend that time with them so that we can make sure that they know of our, not only our reputation, but they know that we want those businesses to come here, to start here, to grow here, and to partner with our farmers, and to make sure that they are getting that business. We similarly had strong conversations on the agricultural front last year at in Tokyo, Japan, for a trade mission where we went to the U.S. Midwest Japan conference, and also had a strong focus on ethanol, corn, and
Yeah.
SAF production. And so, we're looking to strengthen those bonds. We know that our partners need that, particularly in the agricultural community, and especially as they're dealing with the current headwinds now with tariffs.
Illinois has a wide range of different parts of an extensive infrastructure that we have that allows us to be part of these export markets and move our products and move other products in as well, right? It includes rail, river, trucking, many logistics. How does that benefit agribusiness supply chains in different parts of the state, and what's your involvement in that?
Yeah, you outlined like so many of our strengths, right? It's rail. We're the only state in the nation where all class one railroads meet in two locations, and that's in the Chicago area and down in Granite City in Metro East. It's huge. And it's an incredible amount of freight that is moving through Illinois. That network is crucial to the agricultural industry. We have our, obviously, we have our IFAB tech hub that helps to position Illinois as a global leader, particularly in driving innovation and precision fermentation. But one of the reasons why we have such innovation and all of these things that we have is because we have such large agricultural giants that are based here in Illinois, giants like ADM and others, Kronos Chemical, for example, that just announced their 2 billion fertilizer plant in Tuscola. Like a lot of those businesses depend on our infrastructure, and the success of the agriculture industry really depends upon our infrastructure. Agribusiness, in order for them to succeed, they have to be able to move commodities from farms to processing facilities and export markets in an incredibly efficient way. Otherwise, they
Right.
lose money, right? Time is money here. And and so those lower transportation costs that we provide allow for our businesses to succeed. And also it provides them with, our infrastructure provides them with even more timely delivery to those commodities all across the nation. I mean, it's one reason why the agricultural industry wins here.
Let's roll into tariffs. It's kind of the overarching topic right now. We're not going to be able to solve all the discussion needs with that today, but let's talk about the long-term market relationship for U.S. ag products with tariffs related to that, and what you guys are doing in that wheelhouse.
Yeah, so tariffs is something that's it's really important to the work that we do. We are focused on recruiting businesses to come to this state, and those tariffs, those they impact companies' everyday decisions. How are they going to move? What sort of capital intensive projects are they going to bring to the US? Are they going to consider Illinois for? And our goal is really not only to welcome businesses to the state, but to ensure that they are in fact set up for success. And the volatility of recent tariffs and kind of all of the resulting trade wars that are currently happening, it truly does make that difficult. As and just stepping back, like as a nation, we're starting to see and feel those longer term effects of tariffs. It's become apparent that our farmers and our rural communities are the ones that are hit the hardest. You know this, you're a farmer yourself, and how that is impacting you, your business, and farmers all across the state of Illinois. It's a huge issue for us, particularly as we have over 26 billion in the agricultural sector. I look to my one of my close partners at the Department of Agriculture, the Illinois Department of
Yep.
Agriculture, Jerry Costello. He was recently interviewed on this issue, and he spoke about the impact of trade wars and specifically the impact that they're having on the farm economy. And it's really impacting the ag industry in two primary ways. The first is lower prices due to shrinking ag export markets, and the second is higher production costs. And that's due to the tariffs that folks are experiencing on imported goods. Those things like fertilizers and farm equipment. Um, those things are going up at incredibly high rates. We're seeing just in the past year nitrogen tariffs, which is incredibly important in the fertilizer sector. Those tariffs have gone up 10%. Herbicide, pesticides, and insecticides, they're up 20%. Ag equipment is up 13%. Tractors are up 16%. Very basic equipment needs that our farmers have, that our industry partners have, they are going up at alarming rates. And our farmers, they cannot afford that. And with that, that means that their businesses are at risk of failing. So it's a huge hit to our farmers, and those, how that impacts our farmers on the ground. It's hitting their storage capacity because market prices are low and there are not enough buyers. It's forcing them to sell in a more depressed market. It's meaning that our farmers are ultimately going to take a loss. And so this isn't helping our agricultural economy. It's not helping our farmers, right? It's putting them in an impossible situation. I don't need to tell you this. You are seeing this up close and personal, and certainly several of the members of Illinois Corner are seeing this up close and personal. But having those reduced export prices, all of the volatility in pricing, customers, looking to competitors, and now they're rethinking which markets they actually want to enter into contracts with. They are starting to look at, maybe we shouldn't do Illinois. Maybe we should revise who we are engaging with. And they are looking at other countries to meet their needs. And that's hugely problematic for our economy. And it's a huge
Right.
concern that we have. And how we are going to get through it, we're going to see. But it's very clear that our farmers are facing really strong headwinds.
We've had a lot of energy and a lot of talk in the last year or more now around SAF, otherwise known as Sustainable Aviation Fuel. What is your guys' role in that discussion here in Illinois?
We love SAF.
So do
Look,
we.
we were the first state in the nation to pass a SAF tax credit. And I remember doing this when I was in the governor's office. I had the good fortune of working with a number of different partners in the SAF industry, and working with who was the revenue chair at the time in the House, Mike Zaleski, to shine a light on this industry and to help the agricultural community as they were thinking through how to
Right.
increase the production of SAF and increase the on-takers of SAF. And so Illinois is very, very proud to be the first state in the nation to have a SAF tax credit. We've heard of other states following after Illinois for it. And so, we're very proud of that. But we work SAF projects. We were so excited and proud of Avina Clean Energy, who's, starting their SAF plant in the Metro East. It's an over $800 million investment that they're making. So it's a huge investment. And then there's other partners that we have all throughout the state that are thinking through how to do this. We have obviously LanzaJet. There's so many, Marquise Energy, huge partners that are doing great work. And, we want to be the nation's headquarters for SAF. And we want to have more and more SAF businesses. We do think that is a huge help, particularly to our corn producers and our ethanol producers. And obviously we have, United Airlines, who's headquartered here, and they have been out
Yeah,
front
they're
on
big supporter.
SAF and usage of SAF, and they've been big supporters of the effort. So we have such great aviation infrastructure. We have kind of all of the tools in the toolbox to increase SAF production here. And so we want to see more of those agreements happen. And we want to help bring partners together so that there can be an increase of that product here in the state, and more commercial contracts happening to really help some of our ag industry
Yeah, for sure.
producers.
We don't know what the end game looks like with it, but we certainly know that it's a way to export more corn, or use more
That's
corn
right.
in Illinois, as well as potentially export corn, both benefiting us economically, which is a great goal and a great future that we've got in front of us. And hopefully, in just a few short years, we can be revisiting it and talking about how good it's been and not how good it's going to be, and that'd be a great news story to be telling. So there's a lot of indicators to the ag audiences of the data and everything that's going on around the future and the economic trends in food and agriculture. What involvement do you guys have in that, or what's your outlook on that, and kind of share with our listeners what you guys are thinking?
Yeah, I've shared that while we're seeing kind of some growth trends, particularly in the agricultural sector over the past 5 years, that the industry is definitely facing headwinds. We are the second largest agricultural exporting state in the nation, and export markets make up nearly a third of our agricultural production. There is a publication, the Farmers for Free Trade. They've developed kind of fact sheets for a number of different states, but in their most recent Illinois report, they compared 2014 to 2015, right at the summer mark, right in July, and found that corn exports are up 14% across the state, despite a 98% decline to China. So we are
It's
we
fun.
are
Yeah.
seeing something, but it's some, obviously we got to balance that with what our farmers are feeling, obviously. But we are seeing increased uptake from
Right.
certain international markets. Indonesia, for example, as they are thinking through how they are feeding their families. They have huge initiative on that. We just saw that they entered into an agreement with Iowa. They are, that is an area where there are certain developing countries, in addition to that, particularly in Africa. We've seen in Morocco, we've seen in, I believe, in Nigeria, and several others, where there is an interest in developing greater commercial relationships there, given that they have more booming populations. And I think that's something to take note of, and that's something to look at. From our team's perspective, we have a research team that tracks agricultural stats. We track all of the trade stats. And every year we issue an annual report, and we also highlight various industry sectors in our Illinois Business Beat newsletter. So I would say stay tuned for our newsletter, stay tuned for our annual report. There's definitely a lot of facts and figures on there, but you can certainly use those sources to keep the pulse on economic and business trends, including in the
Yeah,
agricultural
absolutely. I
industry.
know here at Illinois Corn, we put a lot of resources towards helping inform and educate a lot of those markets that you brought up, many of those other countries, and they've got a lot of opportunity, and their future is bright on being able to use corn and corn byproducts in many different ways, which is going to benefit their economies and benefit their well-being, as well as benefit the opportunity for us to have some increased export. We're going to wrap it up with a part of our show here that we call Not To Be Corny. And I think many of our listeners have gotten familiar with the fact that it's usually quite corny. But we're going to test your skills here and see if you can figure out what we're talking about. So being at the EDC, what is Illinois EDC's favorite pickup line?
Favorite pickup line?
I can just cut right to us for here. It's actually a fairly practical one. It's aren't you a business? Because we see a strong future together, right? Isn't that your main goal? Isn't that your main goal here? Just to have a strong future for everybody.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, we just like to make sure we end our sessions with a good laugh. We thank you for your time, and unless there's anything else that you want to throw in that we haven't already covered, we'll wrap it up.
Well, thank you so much, and please learn more about our organization on www.illinoisedc.org. Thank you so much for the time.